Welcome to the Sam and Joe VA Show, where we teach women just like you how to create your very own in-demand virtual assistant business.
We're your hosts, Sam and Joe, and get ready to have the control, flexibility, and freedom you've always dreamed of.
Welcome to episode 37, Dealing with Late Payers.
Ugh, I hate late payers.
I would have done that noise as well.
Oh, they're so annoying. And, when we're talking about late pays, we're not talking about those clients that we've worked with for a long time who have a really good history of paying us on time, but then COVID strikes and then they go through a period where they're struggling. We're not talking about those. Like, stuff happens. And we're sympathetic to our clients going through tough times. We're talking about the clients that never pay you on time, that you're always having to chase up, you're always having to remind, and it's just a waste of your time and energy and money, because it costs. Your time is your money, right?
Yeah, and it's just not, it doesn't make you feel valued when someone pays late. So we're going to go through some things that can help avoid having late payers, and some things that you really need to do and keep on top of if you do come across the late payers to get that money in. Because it's hard, because it shouldn't be hard, but that money is actually yours. They've signed a contract with you. They've made a commitment. You've delivered services. It's actually your money, and they are using you as a bank.
Mm-hmm. 100%.
Which is really unfair. So I've dealt with this a lot over 8 years, having lots and lots of clients, and we've had plenty of late payers. So I think the very first piece of advice from a model like having, when you have a service plan, you're doing ongoing consistent work. This is really important to implement service plans where you're actually invoicing them in advance.
Mm-hmm.
So you're sending the invoice on the first of the month, every single first, automatically they get their invoice. And we also direct debit. So we direct debit on the 7th of every month for all of our service plan clients. So they can't late pay unless it bounces. That happens. But we haven't done all the work yet. It's not like we're chasing it, 50 days after we've done the work. I can then have good cash flow to be able to pay my contractors and team. So that's a way to avoid the late payer right up front if you're doing service plans.
Yeah, if you're doing packages, whether it's branding packages or website design packages, that type of thing, asking for a 50% deposit up front before you start work, and then never handing over your final files or the final website design or whatever it is you're creating until you have received that final 50%. For some reason, people feel guilty about doing that. It's like, no, it's really clear. It's upfront, your expectations. It's in the contract that they've signed. And it's simple. You hold on to it until you get the money, and then as soon as you have, then you transfer it across to them. You give them those final files.
We've got to take the emotion and the baggage out of doing business with business. It's a business relationship. It's a business agreement. It doesn't have to be weird, or I know that VAs bring their own money blocks and money baggage with them to a business relationship, and it's not necessary to think emotionally about it. It's right, this is how it works, these are the terms, I've written them really clearly in the email or the proposal and in the contract, so they know up front that they're going to get charged a 50% deposit and they're going to expect that invoice, and that's just how you do business. It doesn't have to be weird.
It doesn't. You know what? I think women especially need to get over this whole feeling awkward about talking about pricing and money with people. You just got to get over it. You really do.
Yeah. You got to remember that the business person on the other side of the relationship, that they are expecting you to set out the terms and to talk about money. It's expected. So it doesn't have to be awkward. It doesn't have to be weird. And asking for a deposit up front before a project is completely normal and standard across the industry. So yeah, you should definitely do that. All right,
Yeah.
I think another one too is the sending out the invoices, however you do that, end of the month, start of the month, at the end of the project, start of the project, whatever it is, being really consistent
Mhm.
about that so that your client knows when to expect the invoice. Like for us, we send out our in advance invoices on the first. Projects, we, like you, Sam, we do the 50%, 50%. Or when a project finishes, if it's not a large one, we invoice immediately as
Yeah.
we end that project. The client knows to expect that. And then casual clients at the end of the month, we do invoicing on the very next day after the end of the month. So on the 1st, they get their invoice for the previous month and they get it on the 1st. We plan that, we block out the time, we do invoicing every single month at the same time. The clients know it, they expect it, and then they pay.
Yeah, it's professional. It's a professional way to do business.
Yes.
You send out the invoices, they expect them. It's then really easy to keep track of when you do need to start that reminder process as well.
Mm.
Boom, it's the 7th. That's
Yep.
when that next automatic email is going to go out from your accounting software or whatever it is that you've got set up.
Yeah, and I think like both you and I, we just know like payment terms are 7 days. Um, it doesn't have to be the 20th of the following month. I get so sick
Oh,
of
that's
people
so old
saying,
school.
yeah, I
That's
get
so old school.
so sick of people saying, "Oh, no, it has to be the 20th of the following month. That's how everyone does it." No, it actually doesn't. You, as the business owner, get to set the
Yeah.
terms exactly how you want to set them. 7 days does not have to be more than that. It is a matter of your client going on internet banking, making the payment, and within the hour it's in your account. There's no writing a check, emailing, so I can't even say posting, so just don't do it. Writing a check, posting it, going and banking it, like that isn't necessary anymore. So neither is the 20th of the following month. It's not necessary.
So old school. Look, another really simple way to not only deal with late payers, but actually to even avoid them to start with, is in your service agreement, that contract that you have your client sign. In that payment terms clause, you're setting out the expectations. They know when they're going to get the invoice. They know when it's due. And hey, look, surprise, we're also going to start giving you late payment fees as well. I
Yeah,
mean, that's going to put people off, isn't it?
we charge $20 per follow-up as our standard clause in there. Well, look, we don't do that every time we follow up, but at least we've got it there so that we
Yes.
could charge it, and it's a
Yes.
deterrent. And we also have, is it 2% interest? Something like that, 2% interest per month, which is actually on an annual basis 24%, which is quite a lot. So like,
Yeah.
or maybe if it's an even 10%, I can't remember what it is, but it's high, and high enough to be a deterrent. And the only time that I have gone against a red flag in terms of payment in the initial like onboarding of a client was this really big client with a big opportunity. And when they saw the terms, the only thing that they asked me was like, "Oh, so I see that you've got interest and late payment fees in there. Like that seems quite steep." And so this should have been a red flag of like, if they're never going to intend to be a late payer, that clause would be completely irrelevant. But because it was so relevant to them, it made me realize that they actually are consistently late payers with all of their suppliers. That's why they wanted to talk about that. But I went against that, and then they ended up owing me at one point $16,000. Like,
Wow.
that is not fun at all. So yeah, watch out for those red flags to avoid even having that late payer.
Yeah, and you made a really good point, Joe. Having that late payment fee clause in your contract, look, you don't necessarily have to follow through with
Yeah.
that every single time, but just have it in there as a deterrent.
Mm.
It's just covering your butt,
Yeah.
really.
Yep.
Yeah. Automatic reminders.
Mhm.
if you've got some accounting software in place, I would say all of them have the option when you send out that invoice to set at that point a 7-day reminder, a 14-day reminder, whatever reminders you want to put in place for your business.
Yep.
Use that automated process that is in the software that you're using.
Yep. And another thing you can also do is set up an accounts email address for your business, which means that you then take away the emotional, personal aspect of following them up, and it can be a lot more generic, and you can say from the accounts department rather than you. Even though it might only be you, they don't need to know that, and it's not relevant.
It is. It's especially good if you are just a one-man band, you're a freelancer, and they're used to dealing with you and they think you're a mate, they think you're a friend. They're going to take those reminders more seriously if they start coming from your accounts at businessname.co.nz or .com.
Absolutely.
Mention debt collector and even the name and the organization of a debt collector. Just, Google one and put them in. Use that in one of your emails saying, hey, look, we've got to this point. It's now, your invoice is now, I don't know, how late would you?
A month overdue?
Yeah, a month overdue. I think that's good. At that point, the email should be talking about a debt collector. You could be just bluffing, but still, as soon as you mention debt collector, people are gonna sit up and take notice, and the majority will then, if they haven't already, the majority will then pay.
Yeah. Another thing that is absolutely an option for you is to let a client go because they consistently late pay. That's absolutely, as a business owner, your option and your decision. And you can fire a client 100%.
Yeah, I've done it. I've done it for that reason. That was the main reason. It just every month it was just such a hassle. Just having to without a doubt, I don't think there was one month, maybe the first month he paid on time, and then for the next 18 months, it was me hassling him, and it was just a waste of time, energy, and my own money. So in the end, I sent him that Dear John letter, and it felt so good. It felt so good.
Yeah, get some clients that actually do value you. Yeah. On too many times, I think we are afraid of following up overdue invoices. And honestly, one of the main reasons why people don't pay on time is they actually forgot.
Yeah.
Or they didn't see the invoice. So just send it to them again, follow them up, send them a text, send them an email, anything to follow it up. Honestly, do not just think, oh, I don't want to follow them up because it's awkward and I feel bad about it. They honestly could have just forgotten, and they'll appreciate the reminder. So don't make it weird. Follow up, because you have to get that money in. It is your money. It's not their money. You've delivered the service and they are using you as a bank. So take the emotion out of it. Follow up. Thanks to everyone for listening to this episode of the Sam and Joe VA Show. If you'd like to find out more, head to the Savvy School website to check out the amazing members club and find more free resources.
You can find us at savvyschool.co.nz.